Despite stealing Diablo from the Diablo Medivh composition that Team 12 is well known for, and having the hyper-aggressive comp of Tracer, Genji, and Kerrigan, Gale Force Esports has yet to find a way to get a victory over Team 12, though we had a ton of fighting and a ton of places that maybe they could try to claw their way back into in the last game, J-How.
They did. That's what Battlefield of Eternity can do for you. It gives you that opportunity, and we mentioned Tomb of the Spider Queen being one of the more preferred battlegrounds. It also gives you a little bit of play in that area. So I'm curious what the next battleground will be. So when it comes to the last battleground, it seems like they were not able to get the macro just right, but the team fighting they got a lot right up until that last team fight. It was for Gale Force.
Yeah, that was the first time we saw Gale Force on Battlefield of Eternity. And now I wonder what Gale Force is going to choose, because Gale Force themselves have been willing to pick Tomb of the Spider Queen, but that's also the last favored map left of Team 12, so maybe they leave it up to first pick, anticipating that Team 12 goes to Tomb. They do, and Team 12 does, so we're going to Tomb with Gale Force having first pick. The mind games.
The mind games. I mean, Tomb of the Spider Queen has long been a favorite of this roster for Team 12, the core part of it going back to the Roll20 days. Not surprised to see it. And again, Gale Force, had they taken that, maybe they would have picked it. But, I mean, this is probably, I mean, they stopped picking Curse, did Gale Force? So this is kind of like their go-to. It's also another Kerrigan map.
It is. We've seen a lot of different things from Gale Force on Tomb, and I do believe they've won both their games here, so it's a comfortable place. We've seen a Zeratul, that's where they had their one Zeratul win. Played Garrosh there too, and then Medivh Diablo themselves for Gale Force. For Team 12, it's all about the wave clear. We've mentioned that sometimes Team 12 can go back to more of just a don't let them have any options. Don't give them any openings for a fight. Have this very strong, stable composition that focuses on wave clear. We've seen it on Dragonshire, and we have also seen it here. So we'll see if the Johanna makes her appearance in this series then.
I think their very first series was Johanna Chromie when they went against LFM, so they definitely can play to that style. Although Hanzo, although missing in action in game number 1, found his way back in game number 2. This is where a lot of people were going to Tassadar with a Hanzo is actually more than just like, all right, well, it fits into the team fighting. Tassadar has extremely good wave clear, especially once he finishes his Psystorm quest at level 1. So pairing that together could be a possibility here for one of these teams.
That it could. Very conspicuously absent Hanzo play from Gale Force. Though Biggie did play a couple of times last weekend, and we got one yesterday versus Space Station. It's not as big of a deal to these teams, or at least to Gale Force, and Team 12's more picking and choosing where they want to bust out the Hanzo.
The Greymane was a big pickup yesterday for Udall on this map.
It did.
It really allowed him to shine.
Yes.
Greymane priority for both teams is obviously there. They could always fall back to a Ragnaros, Kerrigan as well. And after that game 1 Medivh from Dansky, they want no part of it. Doesn't matter if it's BOE, it doesn't matter if it's Tomb, and hey, Malthael.
I wondered if it eventually would get to Team 12 first banning it, because Team 12, they did play it last game. We finally saw Goku bust out his old Malthael, but otherwise, Gale Force has shown they are more than happy to sacrifice maybe a support, maybe a backline or something for them to get the Malthael before the second bans. Team 12, recognizing that, not wanting to deal with it on this map especially, we'll take it away. Gale Force first picks that Tyrael.
The first pick Tyrael's there. Hanzo's still up, Greymane are still up. I'd be surprised if both of them, or if one of them doesn't get picked up here by Team 12. In their first game, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. They snap locked their picks in. Now, with Tyrael on the other side, they're considering there's the ETC, there's the Lucio, there's the Hanzo, there's the Greymane. That tends to be more of our top tier. But we could also see some change-ups as well. The ETC hasn't been a priority for Justin as compared to some of the other warriors. So they can prioritize other things and then build around that later in the drafts.
Yeah. Generally, Johanna was picked in this rotation, which seemed fairly high.
Yep.
But if they want to make sure they have that frontliner, no, not so much. They're willing to potentially have it banned versus them. to make sure that they can get the Uther Greymane combination. You were talking yesterday about how important it is, Jay, how to have Uther with a Greymane, at least statistically.
Yeah, Uther and Greymane, when you look at Greymane's win rate being as low as it was in our opening week, North America obviously sitting in the mid-20, I think 27%. Globally, it was in that 35 to 40% range for a large portion. However, when you look at Uther and Greymane pairings, they were sitting at 70% win rate when paired together coming into this week in 23 games. So it seems to be the I guess, making sure that you don't have the kill potential when you're Greymane going in against a lot of CC heavy tanks. One of those being ETC. Adding the Uther behind that with the Greymane seems to give a little bit more promise.
Yeah, Divine Shield is such a big enabler to a Greymane. The movement speed you get from that, besides the invulnerability. And then further from that too, the Uther armor, the burst heals that he has. Haha, nice. Kerrigan ban. But the armor to pair along with the little bit of armor that you get in Worgen form already, he's just such a good enabler. He's been a great enabler, both Tyrael and Uther, for a long time. Years worth of Greymane plays. But ETC and Jaina comes back once again to North America.
I'm a little bit scared of the Jaina pick going into an Uther because Jaina does really well at burst damage. Uther is one of the best anti-burst damage supports that we have. Greymane can get back there. There's the Johanna ban. Now, when we're on this side, Stitches is a little bit more appealing because he still has Dampen Magic, the old school traditional Dampen Magic. But I also want to hit you with one more stat. Jaina, before the second ban phase, 4-8 for a 33% win percentage. When she's picked after the second ban, 13-5 for 72% win rate. So it seems like people, if you pick Jaina high, they're finding ways to counter. And the fact that there was only 2 picks on the side of Team 12, they can now adjust their draft accordingly. So a lot of times that's kind of been a really tough position to pick Jaina in.
Yeah, that's when we talk about the tiers of heroes further down for Jaina. She's way more well used in a draft when she can be more of the niche pick, the counter pick, than being used as this standardized, accepted as a good standard pick. And for North America, for damage dealers, we've kind of been fluctuating a lot with where those damage dealers lies when you go past the Shimada brothers and Greymane. You're looking at where is Jaina, where is Tychus, and this is a higher pick maybe for Jaina than we would traditionally or like to see what's going to work, but we'll see, because we'll see what Gale Force still wants to combo along with that Jaina. They don't get the Kerrigan for that, but they, I'm pretty sure, have something else up their sleeves.
I would really like to see a Malfurion here. I feel like it's going to be Lucio, which I'm not opposed to. I would really like to see a Malfurion. I think it complements really well to set up for kills, get roots, get the potential slow way down the road, but there's so much. You get the Innervate for Jaina, you can follow up a lot of what's going on. Chromie does a lot of burst damage. Malfurion doesn't have burst healing. But as long as Chromie is not hitting all those skill shots, you've got the Tyrael protection, things like that would work out really well pairing-wise. I feel like they're going to go down the usual Lucio route, but they've got a lot of options that are definitely safe picks in the support realm. But we need an auto attacker here on the backside. I think Lunara would be good if they have that in their arsenal.
There's a lot of supports I'm pretty worried about for Gale Force now with that Chromie pick, because there's just not, with Uther being picked so highly, Team 12 working really well against that. There's no cleanses, there were few cleanses left. You maybe could get away with the Rhaegar. Brightwing 2, she would maybe give the spell armor, but she's still going to struggle to try to deal with that, especially as Chromie ramps up the damage later on. But Lucio will have Sound Barrier and the increased healing later on in the game. Now Genji has a way of trying to dive in and get some of those Chromie kills. And that closes out the draft for Gale Force.
Sonya seems appealing here, but when I look at the fact that ETC and Tyrael are on the front line, Lucio the boot back, the Sound Barrier, the potential ice block for Jaina, I mean, diving onto this team, as long as Gale Force is playing appropriately where they always have that peel between one of those two warriors, is good. We could end up with just a simple Leoric here.
Yeah, it depends who's playing that Blaze. Set up for Chromie, maybe. More crowd control with Uther. Yeah, Muradin and Uther. Lots of setup, and the Blaze follow-up too, and now you've got this great people to just hold down whoever they find from Gale Force Esports while Chromie gets the wind up, the setup, and without a cleanse, maybe we're going to see the Temporal Loop could be slowing Sanzo because of sound barrier. I could see either one there from Team 12.
Yeah, I mean, Blaze does a pretty good job of creating a slowing environment himself if he goes the alternate heroic. So you can find ways to set up those skill shots, find the coordination. We saw Bunker in last game, so we have the options there for Blaze. And we also, I'm imagining we're going to see Goku on Blaze this game, unless he's going to be on the Muradin. But the fact that they have the flexibility between these two players on the front line definitely gives them this advantage to work Blaze into their drafts in multiple ways.
If I'm remembering correctly, when Team Dignitas played their series yesterday and had Blaze played by both JPL in one game and Wubby in another, JPL played the Bunker game, and then Wubby played Combustion. So it's very possible that we see
more Bruiser style.
Yeah, Goku go into more of the Bruiser style, and we'll keep an eye on the build as an adjustment if we get the Globe talent at 1-2. Either way, the game is ready, and let's see if Gale Force can bring it back.
Gale Force, no Kerrigan here. Instead, they get a secondary pick, but Blaze, of course, is going to be played by Goku. So again, the flexibility there of this team is kind of what really makes this team work. They just great all-around team with the flexibility that they have.
Yeah, that was the nice thing about picking up Cure, who had been a ranged assassin player during his time in Open Division and on a dorm team, and then switching over playing the melee flex role during his time on Team Freedom, and then going back to his old role. We saw that even as soon as when they started at Gold Club World Championship playing a couple of melee assassins in that game on Brax's Holdout. Sticking with new habits for the Unstoppable once Blaze finishes that.
Muradin's still deciding on what he wants to go with. Stack. Let's stack.
Perfect storm. Gale Force, Mike's gonna get caught. Take a lot of damage from that Dragon's Breath. That gets scarier at 7. If Dansky builds into Dragon's Eye. Has there been a Dragon's Eye yet in NA? I know.
That's a good question.
I know Fan played Mobius.
Yes, we did. We did. Okay. Yeah. Because there was another game, I remember commenting on that it was the pick the second go-around.
Oh, it might have been Fan's second game. I'm pretty sure he's played 2 Chromies. Either way, Gale Force trying to control this mid-top rotation. And they have the nice wave clear to try to do that, especially with the Jaina, and they can get her in position.
This is going to, I'm just looking at the composition, thinking down the road. Muradin is a tough target to kill. Chromie is almost impossible to get on top of with this composition. Uther gives the armor. Greymane can stay in human form, but also can get armor from Uther if he goes into Worgen. Blaze is a beast, an incredibly high health pool. I think his base health pool is actually slightly higher than Muradin, if I remember correctly.
That's going to be tough.
It's pretty beefy.
For Gale Force. So what would you like to see Gale Force do then? Where does Gale Force find those kills?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to come down the level 7 talent for Udall to try and whittle down, get the cooldown reduction. Though Goku, good body block there. But it's going to come down to him getting the poke value out of that level 7 talent to get the cooldown reduction on his Q. Try and make that happen, although he's got to be careful with his positioning right now. Once you get that, then you can try and make the big plays. Get the setup with the ETC, get the setup with the post-13 Holy Ground, and then have Genji come in behind that as the finisher. You're the setup man, let Genji be the finisher. It's a high execution composition. In the getting the kills department, it's just, you can get the poke. It's just getting the confirmation on the kills.
Well, they're working on one. That power slide is excellent. The knockback again too. Fury just
no Jaina
wrecked him. No, yeah, just wrecked here. It was well done. Showing why ETC is always a strong pick for Fury and Gale Force.
Is that Goku hitting him with the B-step?
I think it is. And it might have been enough to keep Gale Force around a little too long. I think it's really funny looking at this game too. Michael Udall playing the Jaina, since yesterday he was the Greymane playing against the Jaina, and he had that 1v1 versus Jay Shrita. And now he has to play the other side of that against Kier.
The hunter becomes the hunted.
Yes.
Either way, pretty even so far. A few gems were lost on that Cure death, but nothing too detrimental to Team 12. Slight lead, almost enough gems for Gale Force to have a turn in. Fury eats a little bit of damage on his way out. Akafe slides right on by Justin there, right on that wall ride.
It is Dragon's Eye, and you saw that damage chunk for Fury as he went through. Another power slide or knockback. And
He blocked it.
he did.
2 for 2 now when on camera. Blocks a pulse bomb, blocks a hammer coming out there, a Stormbolt coming from Meriden.
Akaface loving his Lucio. And really just the Lucio, the ETC, creating a lot of space for Gale Force, especially that Jaina. They get the first turn in, and now it's on them to make sure they can get something done with it.
This is a good opportunity. This is different than the first 2 games. Gale Force has the lead in experience, has that 1 kill, gets the first turn in on the objective. They found themselves down in the first 2 games, but it's giving them an opportunity to push forward. Justine eating a bit of damage. Nice slide over the dwarf toss. There's no way they could get in there to confirm the rest of that, but the threat is very much there. Gale Force not wilting against the pressure, and they're getting a little bit back here in game 3.
Yeah, Fury's like mad cow right now. I would not want to mess with that. Look at Gale Force, this turn in. Team 12, they have the chroming for the anti-siege, but the way that Gale Force has split up too, and the constant pressure, the focus on this bottom lane, harassment of Goku from Big Impact to enable B-Kid too, has let them take out a fort with this first Webweaver phase, giving them a level lead. Michael Udall retreating to the safety of his team as the cocktail comes out. One final Sandblast does not seal the deal, and they save Jaina.
Just the way that they created a bubble around the Jaina. It's like, look, I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to get this knockback. It's just everybody kind of hovered around it. I mean, you don't want to give up anything to a team like this. Team 12 has shown the ability to punish your small mistakes. Michael Udall getting the safety there from the rest of his team. Still keeping his team with a full 1-level lead.
Working on getting more gems for the turn-in. But as the eggs start to spawn, Team 12 has enough for their own. You can try to get back with the structures if they can get those gems turned in. B-Kid's keeping an eye on the top turn-in. Akabe stopped with a boop. Gale Force will have a while to stall. But if they can do it, that would be pretty huge for them in this game to be able to get that stall for that long till they can get 10. They get the bruisers, which is going to help them with that in the mid.
Yeah, this camp definitely helps with that stall. That's an excellent point that you bring up there. It just gives them so much control, gives them the ability to, 1, force a defensive structures, but also buys them time for that 10. So excellent call here by Gale Force.
Fury has just been keeping a constant eye on Justine, keeping eyes on him to see if he can at least harass him in a way that he's not getting in. He's not getting aggressive with the Dwarf Toss, a Stormbolt, and then having a Blaze follow-up. There's a lot of follow-up crowd control, and there's a lot of burst that goes along with that. So Fury can keep being the one to bring the aggression to Team 12, and they can be the ones to follow up with that Swift Strike and the Michael Udall damage.
Speaking of damage, Michael Udall just completed his Fingers of Frost quest, getting that 10% bonus damage. So that'll help out quite a bit in confirming a lot of the kills.
They did it. They stalled to 10, still holding on to that level lead, acquired through the 1 kill they had on Cure earlier on, and the structures they took out with the Web Weavers. They're quickly getting to where they need to be with the gems, just a few more, and they'll have that turn in. Gale Force is playing this early game exceptionally well.
Yeah, if they had a different composition, I would have liked them pick up the Siege Giants, although the Water Elemental's out. Cure taking a bit of damage, but some counter engage potentially there. But getting the Siege Giants would have given you control over the bottom lane. Had you done it a little bit sooner, you can make sure that Team 12 can't necessarily get a much more valuable push out of their Web Weavers that allows you to fall back and defend, or get control over that lane and neutralize one of the lanes or force a rotation. There's a lot of play around that, but having the Tyrael as that secondary doesn't work as well.
The Water Elemental might have seemed overzealous, and now Fury goes down the sound barrier just slightly too late to save him. Good usage of the slowing sands, the crowd control from that too. Cursed Bullet takes out one. Time Trap is, Big E fell, surrounded by a sea of blue of Team 12, and he wound up Dragon's Blade 2, hoping he could use that to get away.
Buds with the big hammer to make sure that he could not jump over that wall. And then he got punished after that. I mean, he had already used his Swift Strike and his trait there.
Yeah, it just seemed like a little overzealous for Gale Force. They used the Water Elemental. Team 12 were pretty much back behind the fort. Granted, it's a fairly lower cooldown for them. This is not good.
Yeah, that's a bit caught out. And did we make note, Haymaker? because he was jumping over to knock that Jaina right back into the party.
We didn't make note, now we have.
Haymaker, playmaker. Who needs Avatar when you hop in a bunker that your teammate puts down, Gilly?
Galeforce trying to salvage the situation because they did get the turn in despite losing a few staggered deaths there with the Fury, the Biggie, and then the Jaina. Still with that because Team 12 are more focused on fighting, clearing out. Galeforce at least get one fort down with this. Jaina's starting to come back to regroup with the team.
They got a bit more out of that than I would have anticipated. There was a lot of chaos that went on there. Udall, though, the pathing here, he's got a few more members of Team 12. Cure finds himself in a bad position, because that is a lot of gems they're going to keep out of the hands.
They're going to try. The Slowing Sands was hoping to zone people back enough. The Haymaker, big... No, that was a Swift Strike, Biggie. Was it?
No, that was Haymaker. Yeah.
Oh.
It was a little bit too slow to be a Swift Strike. It was more of like a slow float. I don't know.
So the opposite of a Swift Strike?
What would be the opposite? He just kind of like glided through the air from the Haymaker.
Yeah, soft glide. This game is a little strange.
The Haymaker, this time they get the bottom lane control. There's enough gems to turn in for Team 12. There's nowhere near enough for Galeforce. They have the 13-tier advantage, so Team 12 at this point, they're going to play safe, play smart, clear out the lanes, get it pushed back to about midway through, at least somewhere near the midway point of the map, clear up the bottom camp, get 13 in the process, then they'll look to be aggressive, look to find those opportunities and try and get a turn in. Yeah,
it really seems like Team 12 shouldn't be stopped this time from getting the turn in unless Galeforce can win a fight so handily, because both have their bruisers, so those are going to push against each other. As long as Team 12 can get the one turn in, they have a second behind it. And Galeforce is a long way off from being able to have the threat of a talent tier looming over Team 12 and forcing them back.
Right now, that camp has helped get the lanes pushed out. Top is pushed out as well. So there's the Haymaker onto Lucio, but right into a time trap.
Yeah, he's still not going to make it out of that. There's way too much stun lock here. He's going to at least catch a couple of people, make that 3 people with a mosh pit and a sanctification to boot. BK goes around to the side with the holy ground too, but the bunker is keeping everyone alive from Team 12, and Galeforce Esports starting to fall down. They take out here, making it a 1-for-1 trade, and with an Uther, that'll be a second kill. They're grouping around the Chromie for a third.
Yeah, that timeout is not timed out long enough. You know, they make away with a lot of the gems, but that is a big-time fight. They got it, but Fury coming in with that is really what started that. And as you said, the sanctification as well. B-Kid with the holy ground on the backside. I mean, that is some good coordination.
It was really good. That was a great placement for the bunker, too. It's just that Team 12 was so low by that point, and B-Kid traded out. Like, you can, all of Galeforce traded out well in their low health bars, trying to play with vision. You saw B-Kid going around the side too. Just trying to trade out on the health bars enough that they could make it through that. And Fury with the clutch play, even with the recognition that we're probably not going to be able to save Lucio. With the amount of stun lock, he's never going to get sound barrier off. But the best thing that we can do is keep trying to turn this fight. And with the sanctification, the shielding of Tyrael, they did it.
Right now, this is prime-time defense. Galeforce, if they can hold off till 16. Right now, the experience looks like it's catching up for Team 12, but that experience is going to be coming at them in waves as Team 12 is trying to catch up as well. So those will be pushed out. So long as you can get a little bit of body soaking in, that'll work out well, but Fury being completely zoned out here.
Yeah, but the stun lock, Haymaker, Death, Genji, all the cooldown timers way more favoring Team 12, though. There was still 30 seconds until Mosh was back up. There was no Dragon Blade. There was one other one. Sanctification was gone too. And Galeforce trying to remain out, pay for it with the loss of 1, and a Web Weaver phase. How many gems are behind this for Team 12? Still a lot.
Still a lot. They're coming in looking for another fight. B-Kid on the backside. Dansky just getting peppered away by a vicious snowman. Good holy ground there by B-Kid as they were looking to come in. B-Kid making plays happen for his team. Michael Udall has the speed boost, getting the slow as well from his abilities. Buying some time, but the Web Weavers are now pushing in all lanes.
Bot was pushed rather against Team 12. Mid is a place for Team 12 to get something done. Looks like Galeforce are okay with sacking that in favor of trying to get some kills and clear out the top Web Weaver. Top often is a place for you in the game on Tomb because that is that boss lane. So for Galeforce Esports, it's important to them that they can protect it. He got about half of the web weaver down before the slowing sands are on the gate, and it's too scary to go in. One stun into two, does some damage to Fury.
They were just off thinking that Fury might be a few more steps forward. Chromie anticipating, but the stun lock there onto Fury on ETC didn't allow him to get much more. The slowing sands just thwarts so much of this attack. Goku making use of that talent with the charge and the oil spill, just a zoning tool.
Yeah, and Team 12 sees that Biggie is still defending. He went mid, took that out, went bot, now he's taking that out too. But Team 12 get all of the forts down thanks to the web weaver phase and take a lead in the experience in this game. Behind this, can look to turn in again.
Yeah, and with that, they gave themselves a full level lead out of that. And if they get another turn in which they have more than enough gems to do so, Gale Force has to poke around here. Biggie gets the interrupt for the moment, but they're playing with fire right now. Gale Force, however, does have enough gems themselves. It looks like they're opting for a fight.
Justin has quite a lot. He's not as tanky of a target, though he still has healing static. Didn't go for something like a third wind, doesn't have stone form, doesn't even have avatar, so he is a more likely target if Gale Force want to try to focus him down.
As good as this is for Gale Force to get this turned in, if you look at the minimap, the top and bottom lanes are so pushed out, which really takes away the value of getting the turn in.
Yeah, and as long as that threat is there from Team 12, there's no time for Gale Force to feel like, you know, they can go back and push those lanes. They don't have any people down from Team 12. So they had to go in and get that. The best thing is at least they can try to get this bruiser camp, although this is shown to Team 12. They see that they're on this. They're going to go in for the fight, J-How.
They're going in for the fight, but Holy Ground is there, and that's one of the scariest things. The bunker is used, short cooldown, so not that big of a deal. But the Night Camp picked up on the side of Team 12, and all the damage just obliterates that. The bottom lane is so far pushed out. The Gale Force, at this point, Gilly, with no gems, your best opportunity is to take a fight with your web weavers, because you're going to get choked out by 20, else you're going to have to take a fight without the web weavers to deny Team 12. If you're Gale Force, you need to be aggressive here.
Yeah, that mid, focusing on those bruisers, taking so long for that, and then Team 12 getting their own bruisers and allowing them to do that much damage to the web weavers. Mid was the only place that Gale Force had pushed. This top has sustained a ton of damage. Bot is about halfway through. Haymaker puts B-Kid in a corner. He uses Sanctification, trying to wait until he can Eldrin back over the wall. Shields himself down. Buds, Interior, the ultimate 1v1, and Buds comes out on top there. But Big Impact takes out Greymane.
He does, Michael Udall. Nice ice block to dodge that. He's got to stay alive. Timeout is there, which is a long one. Mosh Pit is there. Udall, can he stay alive? He gets a kill. D-Shield onto Chromie. They're trying to keep him alive. They do, but they're following up. Michael Udall is low. Goku is in the backside. Biggie looking for more.
Biggie wants the kill somewhere. Dansky lived through the time trap. Then he had the Divine Shield as he came out of that. Michael Udall is too low to feel safe in being able to follow up. The bottom lane at least pushed down. They got a lot of keep towers down between that mid push with the bruisers, them having that, and then the bottom push too. It evens them out in experience, and they're heading to the boss.
I mean, so much attention was paid. The Sanctification and all that, but Cure so far forward. And Udall is just like, oh, you want to play? I'm shotgun Jaina. And Biggie comes in to help seal the deal. And the ice block there, knowing that Dragon's Eye, that it was going to fall. And Fury's like, well, you got to come out of here at some point.
That was a good D-Shield. The Divine, he even threw out the Holy Radiance too, just hoping to get that darn Jaina kill. It just was not in the books for Team 12. Michael Udall survives to live another day to cap another boss. That'll push down that top. Bottom keep went down.
Yeah, that is the fact that that lane was pushed out so far is insane.
Yeah.
The fact that that went through. Now they've got a boss pushing top lane. No keep wall in the way, but slowing sands. And the threat of 20 for Team 12 does make this a little tricky, although Gale Force is right there at 20 as well. I mean,
No mosh.
Gale Force doesn't have to force this.
Feels like they feel like they do. They're gonna try, at least for a bit. Great Holy Ground catches Cure, but ETC hit by the Cursed Bullet. And the Sound Barrier just a bit too late. Big Impact, can he take out Cure? He does, he evens it out. It's a 1-for-1 as Big Impact goes for more, slicing through anybody he possibly can.
Sanctification is there. They get the keep. And Buds is so low. He does have 20. Actually, did he already die?
No.
The icon is throwing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the heroics. No, he hasn't died, so we would have had redemption if he had been taken out. Biggie coming in with the plays to tie that up, make it a 1-from-1 after ETC went down. Didn't pick his 20.
Gale Force is in a good position by having 2 keeps down. Catapults are one of the best defenses in the game for Web Weavers. It's level 20. Trap talent for Chromie is such a pain.
It is. We got Wintermute for Jaina.
This is
Ooh, fortified bunker.
time to get tanky.
Yeah, time to put some oil on the ground, my friends. Now, the big deal is the extra duration for the armor and the extra armor that you get out of that. You've seen Team 12 trying to use that bunker to go back and forth and be able to get armor out of it to sustain through fights.
So Team 12 right now, they are severely behind, but they are 1 team fight away from potentially getting a turn-in and ending this game. Right now, they have to control lanes. They have to find a way to get a pick. Getting the lanes pushed out via Web Weavers is not the worst position to be in because you'll have enough by the next one. This gives you, it does, if you're looking at the minimap, you're like, why would they turn in? It gives you control, right? You're not looking to end the game, you're looking to get control. Getting the turn in to get the lanes pushed out is your main objective. If you can do more, win a team fight, get a keep, great. But getting this pushed out to at least midway or further is where you can find ways to get that back-to-back turn-in and then try and make a bigger impact. There's still a lot of opportunities, though, with this push.
Yeah, it's the first rung trying to climb the ladder to take this game back and end the series. But if they could get kills, they'd be able to push out so much more. Gale Force wants to do everything they can to keep the lanes pushed so that they are still in a position where they can fight over the turn-in points, where they don't start to allow Team 12 to snowball the end of this game.
That bottom clear by Gale Force was very well done. Utilizing Lelucio, the beacon of Fury, being the tank. The top lane's already cleared out. This is the last that you have if you're Team 12, is this mid lane push, and Gale Force just has to survive. This thing will eventually bleed out a little bit, even if you lose mid keep. This is far better than neutralizing the top or bottom.
Team 12 using that bunker. Cursed Bullet, Sound Barrier this time earlier by Akaface, and they're rewarded keeping Fury alive from the stun lock. Now Gale Force hoping for the fight to turn it around. B-Kid with a great Holy Ground takes out Uther, but he has redemption. He's going to come back, and he still has the heals. Gale Force needs more in this time. They're going after Kira again. Kira's been the target, but Kira with so much mobility gets away. Now they turn back onto Buds. This time, if they can get this kill, it'll stick.
It will. There it goes. There's a Swift Strike. He's got the reset. Cure on the front side. He's going to go down the mosh pit to help secure it. That's all you need. That armor from the Ghost of Uther is good, but that is 2 members down. The catapults are pushing Gale Force. They have a lot of decisions to make. 30 seconds from boss. They don't have enough for a turn-in. If they get another pick, it's game over.
No.
But if Biggie goes down, it's all for naught.
Ooh, Biggie got maybe really excited to push that top lane in as fast as possible. Got caught by the stun lock. It's still there, and Dansky's still alive. Dansky can one-shot someone, but thankfully he had the deflect. He made it out in time. Fury goes forward. They're looking at Justing, who jumps away. Fury gets caught in a place where he goes down. He had the death metal, but it's not going to be on the point. Gale Force are going after the core, but they are losing a lot in health.
They're losing a lot. They didn't get the blow up. We saw Michael Udall get the root. Biggie is the target right now as there are no minions. The minions have finally made its way. 90% falling. Still multiple people there. Sound barrier is up. They're trying to body block, trying to keep Udall alive. 30%. Gale Force has done it here in game number 3.
Gale Force take a lead in the game on Tomb, a traditional map for Team 12, but as we've seen, even more so, or at least equally so now for Gale Force. They have had a lot more favor on that map, and they are undefeated on that map now as they have taken out Team 12 there. They got the early lead and they kept it.
The fact that Team 12, that was their Battleground pick. We know that they've done well at this. They've had Battleground pick every single game. They opted for Tomb. And when you and I were discussing Battlegrounds, we were like, well, this is kind of Gale Force's favorite too. It's their most successful. And it ended up working out for Gale Force. And they played that really, really well. Some of their mid to late game decision making that we might have commented on last week on certain battlegrounds, this week looks so much better. Yesterday looked good. The first 2 games, obviously, Team 12 played extremely well. But Gale Force is making a lot of the right decisions, even in their loss on Battlefield of Eternity. They made the right decisions to find ways back into the game. Slipped up at the end. This game, they didn't. They closed it out, played really, really well.
Yeah, yesterday we were talking about Gale Force. When they played versus LFM, they got wrecked with the staggered deaths. Just so many games. LFM took 1 death, and then as someone else was coming back up, they would kill someone else. That happened with Biggie on the Genji, which I was scared was going to happen there at the end, but thankfully they kept him alive. But the biggest deal for me is seeing that Gale Force, when they do lose someone in that mid, in that late game, they stabilize very quickly. They make the right decisions so that they're doing what they need to do, and there are at times where it seems like, oh, you're still out, you don't have Fury, you're still out, you don't have this person. But the defense of the bottom web weavers at the end was a crucial moment for them to clear that out. They only had to focus on mid, and they're making those right decisions in those moments where they lose someone so that they don't lose things further and allow a team to just get a victory, especially in a game where they have had such a hard work in making sure that they're controlling the game, like in this one.
And controlling seems to be, I don't know, did Team 12 they just got the earlier one and that second web weaver push. I mean, they did such a good job using the Tyrael, using the Genji, although Genji did get caught out that one time. They used all the tools that they had to stay and keep control of that game. It's oftentimes like, all right, I have the lead, what else can I do? When there's nothing else to do on the map, it's literally about controlling the lanes and controlling the pace. And they were able to do that for almost the full duration. Eventually, you're going to give up a turn-in, right? That's just going to happen. That things are going to happen. You can sneak something in. But they responded to it well. They did everything well. And that bottom push, using Fury as the beacon, and then the movement out from Lucio, so well done. It's just like, look, now all we got to do is take care of the mid lane. That is very on-point decision-making in that game.
Even having the rotation squad, but allowing Genji to help bottom so that they got that fort. That gave them the level lead that they held onto for a lot of that game because they were so focused on making sure that Goku couldn't do Goku things in the bottom lane. We've got a replay of that final fight. Jay, how you want to break it down for us?
Yeah, the excitement here, obviously, is how much control they have over the front line. The sound barrier. And then if you look at the bottom, Biggie is where it's like, look, all right, this web weaver's down, I'm done with this. And when he goes in, of course, the dragon becomes him because he can stay in that. B-Kid, his holy grounds, we could make a lot of highlights on the holy grounds that really help lock things in. And they had the speed, the movement between, you know, a little bit of mobility on the side of Genji, but also the Lucio helped them keep pace here. They recognize the redemption there, keep Buds down, and then you can snowball from there.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out Buds, though, because as he went down, throughout the Divine Shield, he knew he was going to be the target, so he was hoping to see that Greymane, Cure, could get something down in the process, try to trade out kills so that Gale Force couldn't end off of that kill or couldn't get into a possible place of getting more kills. They'd have to back off. They didn't have what was necessary for web weavers, so Buds made all the right moves. In that situation, it's just that when you lose your forts, when you start to lose keeps too, it's and you want to siege, if you don't get the siege that you're looking for, it's a long way back to your base. And as you said, Jay, we're out of Team 12 Battlegrounds. That was it.